to the All the Books Show, episode 255, the official podcast of the David A. Howe Public Library. I'm Eric Mickles.
I'm Nick Gunning.
We talk about book news, author news, and literary news.
Woo! Every week, you're just throwing new things at me. I never know what order it's going to be in.
155
I appreciate
episodes.
it. I like it.
And I cannot get this down pat.
No,
this is
can't.
why every other show that I host or I say something at the beginning of is written down.
We do have a shared All the Book Show Google Doc that you never look at if you would like to write it down. But frankly, I like the mystery.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I like the mystery.
Keeps you ready, keeps you on a seat. Are you recording this episode?
I am. Yes, thanks for asking.
You had it hit Audacity.
I
okay.
did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Here's
that
the
would have
thing.
really thrown off your...
I know. I like it
wrench.
because I never know. Like when you start wrong or when you go in a different direction, I always have this thrill where I'm like, is he going to derail it or is he going to pick it back up? And lately, you've been picking it back up.
Yeah.
So
that's the power of improv.
if I didn't look terrible in hats, I would take it one off for you right now. But I already take hats off because people tell me don't wear that.
For people who just listen to it and don't watch it when we stream it as well on Twitch,
Yes.
How's your hair game right now? I had to go and get my hair cut. I wore my mask and they had like a distance thermometer that they put like in front of my face, like from Star Trek.
Yeah.
To check my temperature, and they had and like they opened the doors with gloves and everything. How are you doing?
Well, you tell me. You can see my video. What do you think?
Looks pretty good.
Thank you. Would you like to hear a surprise?
Yeah.
I cut this myself.
What?
Like an animal. I did. It was... Listen, I don't know if we've talked about this before. My hair will never, like, flop over. I could never have the JTT cut of the 90s.
It's just going to keep going up.
It'll just keep getting taller. And I proved that this
So
quarantine.
you don't have the JTT, you have the Marge Simpson.
But yes, that is true, actually. And one morning, when my wife was still asleep, I just, like, I walked into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror, and it was like I had, like, jet black cotton candy on my head, and I was like, I can't... for another second do this. And so I had my 6-year-old son come in, and then I'm like just like with clippers, just going through, and then I would sit down on the ground and I'd be like, all right, see if you could find a long piece. And he'd find a long piece and I would reach back there and just be like zip, zip, zip. And I cut my whole hair that way. And it turned out like weirdly good. But I think I had so much to work with is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could give myself a trim. But going from like, a full-blown Marge Simpson down to regular, I did all right. My wife almost passed out. Like she walked downstairs, came around the corner and like did a spit take basically. She was like, how did this happen? But it's true. It's a reality. Yeah. Well,
if my wife ever leaves me, I'll try some new hairstyles out.
Okay. All right. I didn't know we were doing a haircut spotlight today. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering. I was just keeping up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm doing all right. Yeah. And while technically I have been back to the library and we have been doing curbside service, going very well, might I add. I feel like we've got a good system going. We're getting people the things they need. It's going very well. And I could have pulled the Lonely Hearts Book Club for us at this point, but we felt like it was only fair, since we saw something from my shelves, that we got something from yours as well, because today we're doing a Lonely Hearts Book Club home. You never remember. You never remember to do it.
Right.
You don't remember.
What are we doing today?
I don't think I want to do it again, because I warn you every time.
Hold on.
I did a big exaggerated thing so you could see it on Twitch.
Today we're doing a special Lonely Hearts Club book.
You said it back. You said you said Lonely Hearts Club book, though.
Today we're doing a special Lonely Hearts Book Club Home Edition.
See, that's better. It's better that way. I do want to take care of a little business here too, because you'll remember the Edward Abbey book that we did, The Monkey Wrench Gang, which got a pretty thorough thumbs down from both of us, actually was not held by the David A. Howe Public Library. So I did my civic duty and added my copy to the collection. So now...
Look out, Wellsville. You're about to get a bunch of new domestic environmental terrorists.
Gang. Here they come. So if you're an All the Books super fan and you make it your mission to check out all Lonely Hearts book clubs that we've done in the past, you now can check out my actual copy of The Monkey Wrench Gang.
You've read more than me. I've read The Wolfen.
Have I? Well, let's see. I read Blake's Therapy. I read Harry's Last Tax Cut. You read the thing
Nixon,
about
Nixon and Carver.
Yeah.
See, you're already too ahead of me.
I think maybe that's it, though. You were going to read The Snowman. Do you remember that?
No, I'm going to read Blake's Therapy.
Oh, you're going to read Blake's Therapy. Okay.
Yeah, because it sounded like somebody was like, it's like a crazy psychosexual Michael Crichton book or something. It was.
That's true.
I was like, let's see how bizarre this gets.
What about Why Not Join the Giraffes?
Oh, my word.
You don't want to do that one? Okay.
All
right. Well, save it. Don't tell me what you've selected. All right?
Okay. All right.
But you could see mine.
I'm looking at it right now.
I feel like you need to text me a quick picture of it, and I won't look until the time comes.
All right.
I need to see it with my own eyes.
Okay.
All right. I think it's time for bookmark music, don't you?
Yeah. Let's play the bookmark music.
I already did it. You're a step behind.
Oh. Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
I was taking the picture.
I know. It's too late.
Thanks, Ben.
Boy, you know what? I've really got nothing.
Anybody checking on Ben lately?
We should check in. On the All the Book Show Maestro, Ben. See how he's doing. Yeah. I did ask him at the start of quarantine. I was like, while we're all locked up, if you want to churn out a book news jingle, we wouldn't say no. But I haven't seen it yet, so.
All right.
He's busy. What have you been reading, man?
The only book I've been reading has been and suddenly I cannot remember the title of it. It's the 5th book of the Wheel of Time series.
Okay.
What is that? Fires of Heaven?
Sure.
It's I don't, because I'm reading it on my Kindle. I don't see the title like every time I pick it up. Yeah, it's the Fires of Heaven, book 5. Oh boy, excuse me. Sorry, I got a lot of pet hair in the air.
Sure. Now it's all over your mic.
Yeah. Again, I sneezed into my elbow.
Okay. And just for our listeners, Eric and I have taken social distancing very seriously, whereas I've stayed in New York and he moved all the way to North Carolina just so there's no chance.
We wouldn't get it from each other.
It's like how when all of the government is in one place, they pick one like Secretary of Labor to stay behind just in case. That's the thing.
Right.
We're separate so that if something happens to one of us, the All the Book Show will go on.
Go on solo.
Yeah.
Or you get a new co-host. Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see.
Anyway, what can I say about the Fires of Heaven? Because it's hard because I haven't finished it. It's a long book. I'm reading it pretty regularly. My goal is like a chapter a day.
Yeah, you see,
but I've been reading a couple chapters. I feel like I'm making good time in it, and here's why. I'm reading it at night, right before bed, and I'm reading it in the bathtub in a lavender bubble bath.
Is this true?
This is true. I've been taking lavender bubble baths.
Yourself. Good for you.
At night, and I've been reading The Fires of Heaven while doing it. And so after I finish the chapter, I'm like, well, I'm not getting out of the tub now. I'll just keep going.
You know what?
Yeah?
I appreciate your honesty, and I respect that you're confident enough in your manliness to say that you enjoy a good lavender soak.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it smells good. You feel good. You feel soft and clean.
No, everybody likes that, but I just appreciate that you're willing to own it.
Listen, I think I've talked about this before.
Your lavender baths? I don't think so.
No, on this podcast.
I don't remember that.
Before college, when I was living in my apartment by myself, and I didn't have a lot going on because my friend had joined the Air Force out to California. Oh. I was single, so my days were basically working at the pizza place and then coming home by myself. It was a lonely existence, and long showers were like the highlight because in this apartment, it didn't have a lot going for it, but it did have a hot water heater that never went cold.
That's what you want.
So I could take a 2-hour shower and it would stay the same. It wasn't good environmentally. No.
I was just gonna say, Mr. Save the Tigers over here, flushing 40 gallons of water.
But what I started doing is I would go to the library and get old Wizard magazines or those Kurt Busiek Conan the Barbarian graphic novels.
Sure.
And I would buy bath beads and bath bombs, like honeydew melon bath beads and stuff. And I would just sit in that hot tub for a long time reading those graphics and magazines. It was a good time.
You know what? Every time I've had an occasion to shake your hand, I have noticed that it is eerily soft. And maybe this is why.
You know what? You know what's even more ridiculous? I wanted to read my monster manual, my Dungeons and Dragons monster manual, in the tub.
Yes.
But that book's $50, so I'm not going to take it into the tub.
No way.
So I took my phone in and read the monster manual on a PDF.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just like, what a weird weird society we are, where it's like this hunk of junk that would have changed the world and has changed the world. No, I'll take that in the tub. So what if I drop it? I'll get a new one.
Just get a new
one.
This
stuff is Pez. You know, it's just, but like this hardcover book, no. Anyway.
Speaking of electronics, I feel that I need to mention that I've had an electronic loss in my life recently.
Oh, no.
My Barnes & Noble Nook tablet that I've had for many, many years, which was a lemon from the start, I'm pretty sure. It never recognized added storage when you put in an SD card, so you always had to be really selective about what was on there. I have lugged this thing to many a conference, many a trip. I've been leaning heavy on it during quarantine. I went to pick it up the other day, screen was broken. Really sad. So my wife got me a tablet. I want to say it was for Father's Day, and it was just one to sort of like get by, and it was... I thought at first, like, no way is this going to work. But you know what? It stepped up. Up. So while it can never replace the Nook tablet in my heart, it's doing an admirable job. Like, it's not trying to be, if this were like a step-parent situation, the new tablet is not trying to be my mom. Right. But it hopes that we can be friends.
Sure.
And I feel like we're off to a good start.
All that to say is I'm enjoying the fires of heaven.
Yeah.
But... and this might make longtime Wheel of Time fans upset. I don't know. The constant, men, women. It's funny when you're reading it, but like every chapter, every page, it's like, I get it. Men and women are different. Mars, Venus, okay. But I mean, my guess is it's going to stay that way forever.
Are you still reading Wheel of Time, or is this 90s stand-up that you're...
No, this is
early 90s stand-up.
Time, yeah.
Okay.
But no, I'm enjoying it.
Does it ever talk about airplane food, or does it not mention that?
You know what? Yeah, Ren does get up and he's like, boy, yeah. You know, if I could break the wheel and change airplane foods, sign me up to be the Dragon Reborn.
Where did that brick wall come from you're standing in front of, Rand? Where'd you find that?
Have you ever noticed that Matthew walks like this, but Perrin walks like this?
Which one has the axe?
Perrin has the axe.
Get over it with the axe, guy.
He talks to wolves and has an axe. Yeah,
man, he loves that axe. He loves that axe.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. All right. So that's it for you.
I was trying to go to town yesterday, but I bump into Nine Naive. You all know how that goes.
Yeah. Am I right?
So, a lot of Wheel of Time stand-up routine.
It's a niche market, but I really think that you should lean into it on a different show. Is that everything that you've read?
That's the book I'm reading.
Okay.
My copy of Educated, my ebook copy came in from Overdrive.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I might take a break and read that real quick because I put that on hold first and then started doing this.
Yeah. Well, fair is fair.
I read Turok the Dinosaur Hunter, Volume 3 by Greg Pak. I read Dungeons and Dragons, Volume 1, Shadow Plague by John Rogers.
Yeah.
I read X-Men Magic, Storm in Ileana by Chris Claremont, and Chris Claremont's New Mutants Classics, Volume 2.
Okay.
And I read Shadow Man, Volume 1, Spirits Within. Just a bunch of different comics. The Dungeons and Dragons comic was fun and funny, surprisingly. Turok Dinosaur Hunter was less impressive than Volume 2, because it was like, Turok is Robin Hood.
Sure.
The Magic Ileana Rasputin comic was dark and depressing, but also intriguing and a good read. And then New Mutants really picked up when Magic showed up. So, and Shadow Man is just some cool 90s non-Marvel DC weird stuff.
Okay.
I skimmed through those. Nick and I now do it's kind of a spin-off of this.
Yeah.
It's called Comic Book Coffee Break. It's just a video series. So you could find those at radiomeanwhile.com or youtube.com/Dust vs. Tweak. Comic Book Coffee Break. We just recorded the third one, and we get way more in-depth.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's just it. We just talk about the comics we're reading and just talk about those comics as much as we want.
It cracks me up every time I've mentioned to the show, and I've been like, because we always try to limit how much comic books we talk on the All the Book Show. Everybody I say that to just laughs in my face, and they're like, no, you do not. But
we do.
I'm serious. If you go and listen to Comic Book Coffee Break, you will learn just how much we have curbed our comic book talk.
It's tough because, like, a lot of times I'm just like, I read these X-Men and these X-Men and these X-Men, and like I do try to think like, well, people don't necessarily care where Dust is chronologically right now in the X-Men comics, but Yeah, I mean, when there's real important stuff, I definitely think if you enjoy Dungeons and Dragons and you haven't read the comics, you should check out John Rogers' Dungeons and Dragons. And if you are looking for something different, Shadow Man.
Okay.
So from the 90s.
All right.
Those are the stuff I've been reading while reading Wheel of Time.
Okay.
At night in my tub.
You're
Here's the
loving
thing.
your tub, yeah.
My old bubble bath used to be lit by different scented candles.
Okay. I thought you meant like this bubble bath
not like
is
a
gonna
party,
get.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I would put candles behind me so I could read what I was reading by candlelight, and I would play from my iPod very gentle Irish music. So I need to get new candles and a table to put them on behind me.
Jeez.
And then what I really want to get is like one of those things that like those boards you put like a TV tray in the tub.
Yeah.
That I'm not worried my Kindle's gonna fall in. It's an old Kindle Paperwhite. I got it in 2012, but it's still kicking.
Hey, cherish it while it lasts, man.
Yeah, I will.
Cherish it. Cherish
so
that
yeah.
thing.
Just I need to get some candles, and I need to find some more like really peaceful Irish Celtic music. That was what it was.
Poor wife. It sounds like she's missing out on a lot of romance because of this ritual that you have.
You got to treat yourself.
I agree with you. I certainly do. I finished some things. I read some things. I finished that Mel Gilden book I was working on last week. A couple of comic books here. I mentioned this one because it's been one of our more popular comics in the collection, Avengers versus X-Men, which is a big mashup of those two teams. Pretty big crossover. It's a nice big chunky hardcover that you can check out.
12 issues.
Yeah. It is. It's a big one. Read some Supergirl, which we do have a lot in the collection of that as well.
Yeah.
And I've started my summer reading program reading. I'm trying to read up on some different lore and mythology type titles so that we can devote a future episode to that. So I actually I used the Marvel app to read Hercules Prince of Power.
Yeah.
There's 3 separate Hercules Prince of Power series that came out in the 80s, and it's a pretty fun premise. We'll get into this deeper in a future episode, but basically,
especially when I read it.
Yeah, basically Zeus is kicking out Hercules, and he's like, "Yeah, cool. I'll go bust some skulls on Earth for a while. That'll be fine."
Yeah.
And Zeus is like, "Yeah, hold on, champ. I'm not going to send you someplace where you're going to be like better than everybody. You're going to space, baby."
Right.
So Hercules is exiled to space, and that's the setup of these books, and it's a pretty good time.
All right.
I'm currently reading, also sticking with the theme of the summer reading program, I am reading Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. And this is a Rick Riordan Presents. And what's interesting about it is that it's not Greek mythology or Roman mythology, things that we've heard of a million times. It's actually focused on American mythology. Which,
is this John Henry?
Yeah, it's John Henry. It's Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Gum Baby. It's like all of these weird, American lore that you just don't get a ton of. You don't get a ton of stories dealing with this.
Not outside of Tall Tales, the Disney film.
Exactly. Yeah.
With Patrick Swayze?
And Steve Guttenberg was in the Pecos Bill ones that they used to do. Do you remember that?
No, but Pecos was in the Disney one. All
right. Yeah, I remember I watched a show that was all about these. It was narrated by Shelley Duvall, and like each episode was a different, like, Johnny Appleseed or Babe the Big Blue Ox, like all that stuff.
It looks like the author of Tristan Strong, like these are the books, like he's written these too.
Yeah.
And that's it, Kwame
Mabala. Yep.
Yeah, so I guess the first one, the Punches a Hole in the Sky, was his debut novel.
Yeah, and the second one is due to come out, I want to say, in October. But I'm liking it so far because it follows a bit of a Wizard of Ozian start, because you have a very normal thing happening, like the kid Tristan. After his friend dies, his parents say, well, why don't you go spend the summer with your grandparents just for a change of scenery? So he's out there. And his grandma's all about this lore and telling him these stories and stuff. And suddenly he's just kind of thrust into it, like Dorothy waking up in Oz. He's just there, and he just has to run with it. And there's no real, like, here's an explanation about what's going on. Or, like, there's not really steps to it. It's just like, you're in the middle of it now, so you and Brer Rabbit are going to go on an adventure with John Henry. And it works surprisingly well. Like, I am enjoying it quite a bit. So I'll keep you posted on that. And, again, we'll talk about that in a future episode. But that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Also reading Jack Kirby's New Gods. So Jack Kirby is King Kirby, they call him. I mean, he's a comic book legend of both Marvel and DC. Primarily as an illustrator in the early days, but New Gods he actually wrote and illustrated as well. So it's just it's a very kooky story. Pretty interesting read so far. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah.
I have not really watched any new shows or anything interesting since we last talked. Have you been watching anything that you want to share?
We watched the Hamilton film performance that they put on Disney Plus. It was filmed in 2016 with the original cast. So because we had all seen it in Chicago.
Yeah.
Couple of years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, several years now.
And that was cool, but it is cool to see the original cast.
Yeah.
The filming is like they have multiple cameras, so it's not just one camera and everything. So it's staged and edited well. It's good. It's still good. The guy who plays Thomas Jefferson is so funny in that performance. Like, he's very good as Lafayette. He's great as Lafayette. But when it switches over to Act 2 and he starts playing Thomas Jefferson, he's just so obnoxious so funny. Funnier than like when you listen to it just on the recording one. It's great.
Okay.
I was big into Hamilton when it first came out.
You were big. I was gonna say you were on the cutting edge. Yeah, that's like episode 2 or 3. You're talking about this newfangled thing. Because
I had only followed the YouTube performance that Lin-Manuel had done at the White House dinner for Obama, and this was like 2009 or something, a while ago. And so somebody had to be like, "It happened! It's here! It's now!" And that was cool. The problem is, and maybe this won't be a problem for you, and that's whatever, but it is harder to get as jazzed about certain things in that play in 2020 than it used to be.
Yeah.
And it's also hard to feel when you first heard it, you kind of got pumped up and you felt like it was relevant and it was changing things, and then you realize nothing changed. And
I can see context having a big.
So it's a bummer because it's still a great show and the music is still fantastic, but I do feel it has lost something. And maybe it'll gain it back over time.
I could see
I don't know. But these days it's a little bit harder for me to get into it, as opposed to like you watch Moulin Rouge and like, wow, still
still good.
Love is still relevant.
Yeah.
Have I watched on the Criterion channel, I watched Black Narcissus, which is a story about a couple of nuns that they go to this mountain area. And it does not go well for the nuns, and one of them starts going crazy and lusting out of this very handsome British gentleman.
Interesting.
And it doesn't go well for the nunnery. It's gorgeous. It's like, I think it revolutionized some matte painting in there. Okay. And it is like, looking at it now, it's like, holy cow, that is impressive. Like, you can kind of see the line where it is, but it is still like shocking. So yeah, cool. I watched that on the Criterion channel.
Nice.
I guess that's it. I haven't really been watching.
It's just been
just the Simpsons.
It's been a busy week, yeah. And I've been the same way. I haven't really gotten into much. We watched Avengers: Age of Ultron, but we haven't really finished or started any new shows or movies or anything like that. It's just been sort of I don't know. It's a busy time, I guess. You want to get into some book news?
Book news.
I mean, listen, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that IDW is working on a Back to the Future Transformers spinoff that's coming to a retailer near you in October. So if that's news that you're excited about, maybe it's just me, but if you're excited, October. And if you want a good Transformer crossover, you can't go wrong with Star Trek Transformers. That's all. I
guess I can admit, I already admitted I treat myself at night now by taking that bubble bath while reading Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
But if I wake up early enough, I do like a Saturday morning cartoon thing now. It doesn't have to be Saturday morning. I've been watching the Spider-Man animated series. I love it. I then switch over to Gargoyles, the animated series. And then I watch 2 episodes of Batman, the animated series.
Nice.
Honestly, the perfectionist in me would like it if I was only watching 1 episode of Batman and maybe like Tasmania or The Tick was available.
Yep.
So that's how I would do it. I definitely like be putting on The Tick.
Makes perfect sense.
It's fine. I'm watching Batman on the Blu-ray, so I just hit play and let 2 episodes play. So it's not too much effort on my end to watch 2 episods. But yeah, that's how it goes. I'm like, you know what? Before the day starts, let's do this right.
Let's do it.
All right, let's talk about the print, ebook, fiction.
Let's do it.
The combined print and ebook fiction from the New York Times bestsellers list on New York Times.
Okay.
Number 10 is The Last Flight by Julia Clark. This is new this week. It's Claire Cook escapes from living with her quick-tempered husband and assumes another woman's identity.
Okay.
So she leaves her husband,
I guess,
who is quick, but then she takes over another woman's identity.
Steals someone's identity.
So she doesn't create a new one.
No, I guess
over one.
I guess so. Yeah.
Number 9, Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And artist upends A Quiet Town Outside of Cleveland. Number 8, The Guest List by Lucy Foley. A wedding between a TV star and magazine publisher on an island off the coast of Ireland turned deadly.
Okay.
Number 7, The Summer House by James Patterson by Brennan Dubois. Jeremiah Cook, a veteran and former NYPD cop, investigates a mass murder near Lake George.
Wow.
No, near a lake in Georgia.
That is different.
Always get that.
That's like the last you read that. I think it was a Nora Roberts one, and you read. No, it wasn't Nora Roberts. It was something where you read Scotland instead of Southern, and it changed it drastically.
Yes, it did. That's coming up.
Okay.
Number 6, Walk the Wire by David Baldacci. It's the 6th book in the Memory Man series. You know what you get with that.
Yes.
Number 5, Camino Wins by John Grisham. The line between fact and fiction becomes blurred when an author of thrillers is found dead after a hurricane hits Camino Island. Does seem like a hurricane is the right time. But I feel like you want a hurricane that's really destructive. Okay. It needs to be like flooding all the homes, tearing things down to get away with murder there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't just like, it's a hurricane, but like a lot of properties fine. Yeah. Sandbags worked. For the most part, we made it through this hurricane. Wait a second. How'd Gary die?
Yeah. Well, but I think even with that, though, the rain and the wind is going to take away a lot of incidental evidence. No footprints. You're going to be able to tell if people tampered with windows and things.
Right.
It's better than just good weather. You know, a nice breezy autumn day is not the time.
Somebody needs to write a guy who solves murders that are specifically set during natural disasters.
Oh boy, that's a good
solves murders set during a twister.
That is a good, because it's so specialized. Because you can have it go anywhere. Like, no, we need the weather detective. Yeah. Call him in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait a second. He didn't die from an avalanche.
Yeah.
He died from murder.
From a broken heart. Wow!
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That was a CSI.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. John Grisham is back. That was number 5. This is number 4. He's got 2 on the list right now.
Good for you.
It's a good time to be John Grisham, I guess.
I think always it's a good time to be John Grisham.
The Guardians by John Grisham. Colton Post, a lawyer and Episcopal minister.
Yeah.
This one has gone up, I think. Wasn't this? Yes. This one's older, so this one's been here for 21 weeks.
Well, I'm sure it's cheaper. This one just came out in paperback.
So
right. The paperback price.
Fiction, so maybe it's not even hardcover anymore. Yeah.
Oh no, it's not. No, they're counting the paperback most definitely.
Plus, maybe you reading Camino Wins now, and you're like, oh, what's that other John Grisham book I didn't read last time? Ebook.
Yep. Or you go for you want a Grisham and you go for the cheap one also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Number 3, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens.
Yeah.
Quiet Town, North Carolina.
We know.
Wait, Nick. A young woman who survives alone in the marsh. Becomes a murder suspect.
Not really the plot of the book. But
number 2, The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. The lives of twin sisters who run away from a southern black community at age 16.
Scottish. Yeah.
Diverge as one returns and the other takes on a different racial identity, but their fates intertwine.
Yes.
And number 1 is 2 weeks on the list. It's 28 Summers by Ellen Hildebrand, a relationship that started in 1993 between Mallory Blessings and Jake McLeod comes to light while she is on her deathbed and his wife runs for president.
Oh.
Hey, speaking of this, we were watching The Simpsons, and we're on season 4, and I don't know what the reference was relating to. I can't remember what it was, but they were like, boy, it feels like a Danielle Steele novel here. So, like, she's Danielle Steele, who wasn't on this list right now, though, but is often on this list.
Yeah.
She's been, you know, pumping it out long enough that she's on the early seasons of The Simpsons, and it could be done now.
See, now you've said her name, so you've given her that power. Week. She'll be here next week, absolutely.
Yep, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Finds a gem in an old carved-out novel written by her father that belonged to a duchess who had gone missing in the 1850s.
And then what? Okay.
And she buys a beach house.
Okay. All right, well, speaking of obscure books, shall we get to are you ready for this one? Lonely Hearts Book Club Home. You didn't do it again. That's
Home Edition!
Every time you have to. Okay. All right. Just forget it.
Home Edition.
All right, let's say it at the same time. Ready?
Yes.
Lonely Hearts Book Club Home Edition. All right, so if you're new to the podcast, again, thanks for tuning in. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the person who says episode 250, now's the time.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. But here's the skinny at 255. Thank you. Yeah. Here's the skinny on the Lonely Hearts Book Club. Now, normally at the library, I would run a list and I would find all the books that we have in our collection that have never circulated. And we like to hang on to those if they're unique titles. That way, if anybody in the system ever wants it, we've got it because we've got the space down in the stacks. That's how this normally works. And then we've never done Lonely Hearts Book Club this close together. But this is really part 2 of a sequence that we started 2 episodes back when I brought out my copy of the Monkey Wrench Gang, which has sat on my shelf for years and has never even been thumbed through. And we thought it only right that Eric take a look at his shelves and find one. Now, I have to say, between Eric and I, Eric's process for culling books is much more... He has a firmer hand when it comes to getting rid of books. So I'm curious as to what you have here that is managed.
Okay. That has backfired on me because I thought I had a few books that I was going to pick that I have culled because I was like, well, I haven't read this forever. Basically, my thing is like, you know what? I haven't read it in all these years. It's on my Goodreads to read. I'm not going to forget it. Maybe I'll find it someday. But I am kind of like, I've gotten rid of a lot of books that I have read.
Yep.
That I didn't think I was ever going to do. I'm trying to like make some space. So,
I feel like I've even been with you when you've had to like rebuy a book that you've gotten rid of.
Yeah. Which I'll do every now and then, and I don't mind it so much because most of the books I buy are used. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I got to buy this $30 Stephen King book again.
Yep.
Anyway.
You're rebuying Stephen King? That's surprising.
No, I'm not.
You said you were.
Hey, you know what? Stephen King... Watching The Simpsons, we just watched The Treehouse of Horror that's in season 4.
Yeah.
And it has that is the one where Lisa and Bart try to resurrect their dead cat, and it ends up creating zombies. And I'm pretty sure that is the beginning of me being like, I should check out Pet Sematary sometime.
Wow.
From when I was,
Yeah.
All right. So the book I picked is a fantasy book then.
Okay.
It's here because I have picked it up once or twice, and I'm like, this is it. I'm going to read it. And every time I've decided that, I haven't even turned a page. Haven't even read the first sentence in this thing.
That's funny.
All right, so you might have heard me talk about this in the bookmark section, but it never actually happened, and I took it off. All right, this is called The Sleeping Dragon.
Okay. A
fantasy novel by Joel Rosenberg. I became aware of this book because in the back of Dungeons & Dragons, Gary Gygax and other people who worked on D&D have created a list of books that inspired them with their Dungeons & Dragons universe, or that they think is good further reading if you play D&D. And I think it was Tor.com that was like looking at all the books that were on that list, and it's part of the reason I read that one really creepy book about an underground elven race. The Shadow People is what I read. That was a really trippy 70s sci-fi or fantasy thing. It was, strange. Anyway, The Sleeping Dragon, a fantasy novel by Joel Rosenberg. The cover, blue sky, castle in the background. You got some heroes here. There's this guy that looks like a big, bulky fighter. You got an elderly man who's probably the wizard in purple. Got those stars like the Cookie Crisp wizard on his hat. You've got a blonde woman in a blue robe.
Cookie Crisp wizard?
Cookie. Remember he used to be a wizard?
I thought he was a thief.
Yeah, he is. That's what he was, but I think like before that he was a wizard.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you learn something new every day.
You got this blonde-haired woman in blue robes. I'm assuming she's like a cleric of some sorts. And then you have a shorter fellow with a big old axe and some arrows. Anyway, and there's a dragon.
I can tell you I very much do not like this cover.
The cover has a big green dragon with a chain around its neck like a collar.
Yeah. He looks kind of smug, too. The dragon looks like he just made a joke, and he's like...
Yeah. Got him! Look at this.
Hey, Rozier, did you hear that thing I just said? Oh, man.
U.S. price $2.96. So this is saying it came out June... Oh, first published 1983.
Okay.
Would it cost you $2.95 unless you were in Canada? Then you're paying $3.50.
You know what? I'm a little in love with this tagline. Can I read it to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Playing at Wizards and Warriors is good, safe fun, but what happens when you're no longer on Earth and you're not just playing?
That's right. On the back of the book, it says Captives of Sorcery. It began as just another evening of fantasy gaming with James, Carl, Andrea, and the rest.
Yes.
Ready to and the rest.
Hey, that's like a classic Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, sure is.
It used to be "and the rest" before they...
Ready to assume their various roles as wizard, cleric, warrior, or thief. Mm-hmm. But sorcerer's game master, Professor Dayton, has something else planned for this unsuspecting group of college students.
Oh, boy.
And the game soon becomes a matter of life and death as the 7 adventurers found themselves transported to an alternate world and into the bodies of the actual characters they had been pretending to be.
So this is just the Jumanji movie with The Rock?
Came first.
Okay.
Okay. Cast into a land where magic worked all too well.
Sure.
Dragons were a fire-breathing menace.
With wry senses of humor based on that cover image.
And only those quick enough with a sword or their wits survived. The young gamers faced a terrible task. For the only way they would ever see Earth again was if they could find the legendary Gate Between Worlds, a place guarded by the most terrifying and deadly enemy of all, the Sleeping Dragon.
Here's my problem. If he's sleeping, can they just go quietly? Would that work?
No, it always wakes up.
Does it?
Always. Did you ever play the game Don't Wake Daddy?
No. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He always.
But did you ever try the board game too? That one, I've been using that one for a while. That's an old Eric original.
Looks like 13 books in this series by old
Joel Rosenberg.
Joel
To spoil the end here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here we go.
I was confused when you said that because there is a political thriller writer named Joel Rosenberg. Different guy.
Yeah, different guy. All right, so this is For Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
There you go. Yep, For Felicia, Bye, Felicia.
I wasn't gonna say it. But
that's good.
But I felt like you were waiting for me to say it.
I was. Signet. Yep. Okay. Got this at Chamberlain's Book Mine in Jacksonville, Florida, which is one of my favorite bookstores ever because it has an infinite selection of sci-fi and fantasy that just goes on in these multiple rows. It's where I've gotten you a couple of Star Trek books.
I was just going to say, I have books with that stamp on the inside cover.
It is a book mine because you go in there too, and suddenly I'm like walking around. I'm like, Kendra, where are you? We have to go. And the books are cheap, real cheap, and you just pile them on. And you're like, no. Oh, yeah. I've gotten a lot of my sci-fi fantasy there. So I got this there. Because I was looking for it because of that article and it being in the appendix.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Let's do it.
Oh, look at this. Joel Rosenberg wants to thank the people who helped me through this, specifically Alan Schmidt, who gave him the crazy idea in the first place and helped to make the gaming aspects work. So there you go. Okay, you get to meet all the characters and who they're playing.
No, I don't want to. Looking at this cover, these guys.
Part 1.
Okay.
The Student Union. Okay, Part 1, Chapter 1, The Players, page 15. Carl Cullinane reached out his fork and speared the last stick of asparagus from the stainless steel serving plate in the middle of the table, not bothering to set the asparagus on his own plate before taking a bite.
Wait, so it's like...
mushy, almost tasteless, he swallowed quickly.
Family style at this college, I guess?
Let's see. Carl, you're a pig. A skinny one, granted, but a pig.
Uh-oh.
Oh, thanks for that description.
Yeah, now we
Andrea.
know. Yeah, I snuck it right in there.
Andropoulos Smile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Smile took most of the sting out of her words, pitched low enough so that nobody else in the crowded cafeteria would have been able to hear her over the clatter of dishes and the chatter of 100 or so students.
Yeah.
Carl put it down to a natural gentleness. Hell, she'd been able to make him like it, almost, when she turned him down. Usually, the let's just be friends routine drove him into a silent, stomach-churning rage.
Sure.
Rage? Frick. Yeah. Calm down, Carl.
I know, seriously, Carl. Have a little more asparagus, Carl.
I got a rush, Andy. Ooh. Oh, because her name's Andropoulos. She's Andy.
Okay, I kind of like that then.
Andy. I just call her like double A.
Like a battery?
Like a battery.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew a Katie who spelled her name with 2 E's at the end.
Okay.
So it was Katee.
Okay.
And I called her KEE.
Okay.
That was pretty good. I just wanted to share that I was a creative little fella growing up.
I had a friend named Dan Rawl, and we had several other Dans in class, so I just started calling him Jeeves, and I don't know why, but it really stuck. It really stuck.
All right. I got to rush, Andy. There's a game tonight. He took another bite, added a mouthful of lukewarm black coffee, and swallowed quickly. Mm-hmm. If I'm late, sure as hell they'll start without me. put Barrack out to pasture for the night. Oh, that is a fear for some people. I'll tell you what, the idea that like your character is not in control of you is not in your control because you weren't there.
Oh.
Usually you just put him on autopilot and roll for him during combat.
Yeah.
But anyway, you mean they'll put him out to stud? She chuckled, revealing a mouthful of even white teeth.
Okay, so now we know that too.
She's got nice teeth. Carl liked her laugh, her smile. He had always thought the notion of somebody brightening a room with a smile was just a fantasy, until he met Andy, that is. Not that he had anything against fantasy. Quite the... Then swears. Let's see. Let's skip to, like, the game.
Okay.
Let's get to when the game happens.
Can I be honest with you here?
Uh-huh.
I started this with a real bad attitude, but these knuckleheads are kind of winning me over.
Really? I thought you would...
a little bit.
Because that's a pretty... whatever first sentence. It's just a sentence about a guy eating asparagus.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's unique.
Okay.
I kind of like it, and I like the conversation. I didn't want to like it.
All right. You know what's funny? You said Jumanji. I'm also thinking that Dino City where the three kids get sucked into that either a movie or a game, and suddenly they're like, we're in Dino City, and there's dinosaurs like, hey, man, you got to watch out for that Triceratops gang.
I don't know that one.
All right. Here we go. Ready? This is chapter 2. It's titled The Game. So we've met the players. Now we're meeting the game. While Dayton began to speak in a low, mysterious tones, Carl Cullen borrowed 5 4-sided dice from James Michael, then slid a well-chewed pencil in a sheet of paper in front of Andy.
Okay.
She picked up one of the dice. Funny-looking little pyramid, but how do you get the numbers to come up on top? You don't. Look at it a bit closer. Instead of being stamped in the center of the faces, the numbers 0 through 3 were all along the edges. The player would read the upright number, the one closest to the table. But I want to keep half an ear on what Doc's saying, so we'll make this mechanical. I'll fill you in the background later, okay? Fine, but bear with me if I'm slow. What does she know about D&D at this point? She's a girl, Nick.
Yeah.
Now, can I tell you? I have played tabletop games with probably more ladies than men in my life.
It's a weird brag, but okay.
And yet, I was very single for most of my life.
Yeah, go figure. Taking all those baths and playing D&D, I can't believe nobody snatched you up.
Shut up. He couldn't let it pass without turning to look at her straight in the eye, letting the tight grin creep over his face. She didn't have the grace to blush. What? He's a creep.
I guess so, yeah. It's called confidence, by the way, guy. It's not a negative thing that she's not blushing because you're eyeing her up. Guy.
This campaign, Dayton intoned, his face lit demonically by the light of the flashlight in his open briefcase. What is the quest from the gate between worlds? We read about that. All right, so there's just a lot of explaining of how to play the game here. Okay. Gonna skip ahead because I saw something at the end of this chapter.
Yeah, and that's weird to me because like people who are reading this book probably know how to play D&D. I would guess.
Well, it is saying it's a fantasy gaming, so they're not. Okay. They didn't use the term Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure.
So you might just be picking this up as a fantasy fan. James Michael couldn't hear the rest. A rush of sound, like the roar of an impossible loud and possibly near jet, buffeted his ears. Acrid smoke invaded his nostrils until he found himself on his knees in coughing spasms. His tearing eyes jammed shut. He bounced to his feet on damp grass, reflexively reaching for the axe strapped to his chest, loosening the straps with two quick jerks, and taking the axe in his gnarled, well-muscled hands. Wait, well-muscled hands? He opened his eyes. He was standing on the side of a grassy hill, a dwarf with an axe in his hands.
Look out, look out.
Chapter 3. Oh, you know what? Part 2, Chapter 3.
Hey, you don't have to read the entire book. Up to you.
I'm just saying that's how Part 1 ends.
Okay.
He realizes now he's in a different body.
Got it. Okay.
So
that's
Chapter
exciting.
3 opens with Jason, wake up.
Did he?
I don't know.
Is he going to
read the rest?
No, I'm just saying.
Anyway,
I feel like you're getting drawn in.
That's just as they get into the fantasy world.
Okay.
Of the sleeping dragon.
Okay.
So there you go.
How do you feel as somebody who this has been on your list for a long time? Is this doing it for you?
This hasn't turned me away from it.
Okay.
So
I would agree with that. I'm not repulsed by it.
I'm interested to see what happens when they get to the fantasy world if it, like, how much it plays into the, like, but we're just college kids from 1983's Manhattan.
That could get old. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
But also, I'm worried it will just become a straight fantasy novel, and that stuff won't really matter anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that is interested to see how it balances out. Listen, I need to read this first book because I've got The Sword and the Chain, book 2 of this series. I've got The Silver Crown, book 3.
Yeah.
And I've got book 4, The Heir Apparent.
You're going to need to read all those, definitely.
Yeah. I've got the 4 books here. I bought them all from the Chamberlain Book Mine in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, well, here's the thing. It was going to be a steep curve for me. You know,
like, you know what?
Well, yeah, what?
I didn't. I bought the first book there. The reason why the stamp isn't here is because I was at a Savers in Buffalo, New York.
Oh.
And they had these 3 books, and I grabbed them all because I had the first book.
Wow.
That's what it was. I got the first one at Chamberlain, and then I got these other 3 that were just in the Savers. That's why these 3 are nicer than my first volume.
What a cross-country journey these books have taken.
Yeah, sure.
There and back again, right?
So what were you going to say?
Well, it was always going to be like, for me to be like, yeah, I want to read this book was going to be a real difficult task. And I don't think that the cover combined with this made it so I got over that hurdle. But I'm more interested than I thought I was going to be when I first
saw
your
characters.
Pictures. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more interested that way. Did this make you want to read it more? Did it push it more ahead on your list, or did it scoot them back a little bit?
I think
after those Conan books that I bought you that you haven't read.
I've got them right here next to me.
Read them.
I think it's even because there is this part of me that wants to read it, but there is also this kind of like, as much as like the whole like, Dungeons and Dragon Slayers are now in their characters and now they're playing their campaign, but it's for real. There's part of that's like, all right, that sounds fun, but also it's hard to get over that concept being a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
If I don't like this, there's no way I'm going to go through the other ones. Whether or not reading these, it gave me, I don't know about this Carl character. He sounds like a creep.
Yeah, a little bit.
He sounds like a creep. He sounds like a guy who just can't take no for an answer. And yeah, let's like, but it looks short enough. It's only let's see, right here. It's only 253 pages, so I'm sure it'd be a quick read. So I think it has moved further up on my list.
You can stomach Carl's toxic masculinity for 250 pages.
For the first book, I can see what is going on.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see. I will say that it has moved up the priority list again. It's like, I gotta read this.
All right. Gonna be a pass for me, but I hope that you'll report back.
You know what I want to read? I want to read your Dungeons and Dragons characters are now in your real world.
Whoa.
And so it's kind of a, that's not how you use it.
Like a Turtles 3, Turtles in Time situation.
Sure, yeah. But when the warriors that they replace come to the present.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Or that one with Christina Applegate, where there were, like, medieval warriors that she had to, like, deal with in New York. Do you remember
that? Neverending Story 3?
No, that's not it. Christina Applegate. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know.
All right.
Foreign pain giver. That's not how you start a car. Me weary of this mechanical.
Hey,
horse.
It's called Just Visiting.
Oh, okay.
Starring Jean Reno and Christina Applegate.
A Kate and Leopold situation.
Oh yeah, Kate and Leopold.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The superior team up of Liev Schreiber and Hugh Jackman, what do you think? Which one's better? That or
I've seen Kate Leopold all the way through.
Oh, I've seen it.
It's okay.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay.
All right. What do you want? Do you want me to find you a copy of this sometime and throw it at you?
I feel like we must add it to the collection. I think that's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah. You know what? I never checked. You guys might have it. I mean,
maybe we do.
10 volumes from the 80s.
I'll check. It's possible.
You might. Yeah. Somebody must
You know
have
what?
it.
You know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up a Star Trek book that would complement this, and that is the Star Trek Enterprise book called By the Book, written by Dean Wesley Smith and Christine Catherine Rush. This was also a pretty short read. And it was one half of the book was a first contact story with like the senior crew members, and the other half was a D&D game played by the more junior members of the crew. And the D&D sections were more engaging than I think the first contact was later on. So that was a really fun book. We did it for a book club. It's By the Book, Dean Wesley Smith, Christine Catherine Rush.
Yeah. I like how they can't say D&D because it's a licensed property.
I don't think they say it.
Fantasy gaming.
I don't think they say it in this Enterprise book either, but I know we have that book in the collection because I checked it out.
So, anyway, The Sleeping Dragon by Joel Rosenberg has moved up to my list. So I thought that was probably one of the more obscure books that I haven't read in my collection.
I would say so. Segueing into some library news, remember, summer reading program is on, folks. We've got a lot of fun stuff going on, a lot of different ways to win prizes, some unique ways to participate given the current circumstances. We're going to be doing the curbside pickup through the auditorium for a while, so remember that there is a special...
Is that through DoorDash?
I wish. There is a special URL that you have to use to access StarCat. The regular StarCat, if you have that bookmarked or if you have the app or whatever, that's not going to cut it because we have a special Wellsville-only URL. So if you want to place a hold through StarCat, that's linked on our social media, and the search bar on our website will take you directly to the Wellsville-specific StarCat. So make sure you're utilizing that for your holds. Or... give us a call, 585-593-3410, or email us at wellsville@stls.org, and you can place holds that way. Any way you can contact us, leave a comment on the podcast here. I'll get you your book. So it's just a little unique as we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in the coming weeks, we're going to be doing a summer reading program-centric episode where we talk about our favorite books of mythology and or lore. So if you have favorites that you want to share with us, find us on Twitter at All the Book Show, or again, you can email us at wellsville@stls.org.
What's the slogan of this year's summer reading?
It's Imagine Your Story.
That's right.
Well, that's going to do it for episode 255 of the All the Book Show. Join us next week, and we'll chat more. Bye.